Listen, I've been in tech for over 35 years, and I look at, but I've also seen every single hype cycle, what was a hype and what was not, but what actually ended up delivering this. And this is the biggest phenomena of all tech in the history of technology. And if you're looking, for the bumps that might happen in the next year, fine. You're going to get exactly that. But Daniel nailed it. There will be consistent investment, but not from FOMO, but also from how this is going to transform everything. Only 2% of consumers have paid AI accounts, and we're in the industry and we know it. It's been transformational for us. Just wait until the consumers get attached to this in a format that they can consume. You're going to see devices go up on that side. We haven't even scratched the surface on the edge and robotics and what this is going to bring. The 5-year build, the 3-year build, I have intense confidence in.
Just a few months ago, AI was going to eat every industry. It was going to eat every software. And now what we're finding out, and I think Palantir CEO Alex Karp talked a lot about, there's an alpha of every business that lives in between the infrastructure and the model. And that's where businesses across industries, hotels, restaurants, manufacturing companies, pharmaceuticals start using AI to enhance their businesses and create great profitability. Yesterday, I was on the West Coast with Mr. Moorhead and myself at the Epic Center, Applied Materials. We sat with their CEO, Gary Dickerson, and he was talking about this being the most formidable trend that will take place in our entire lifetimes, that AI will transform every industry. And the reason I point all this out is this is where people like myself and Patrick get this great confidence that this trend is in place. But everything we've heard along the way so far, that industries would be broken, jobs would be displaced, what we're finding is as more time goes on, it's the opposite. Mythos didn't destroy cybersecurity. It created a whole opportunity. CrowdStrike and Palo Alto were up 60 and 75% respectively after Mythos came out.
Got a lot to talk about, Patrick. I want to kick this off with you. You're a resident tech guru. Your thoughts on what we got with Meta and Microsoft and also some of the chip names after the bell last night.
Yeah, so I like to look at whether things are company inflicted or market inflicted. And I think we saw some really good signs from Microsoft. I mean, we saw Copilot, who everybody, loves to, make fun of, just absolutely crush it on revenue, on usability, on latency, on satisfaction. And Amy Hood really did the mic drop where she said, we're going to get back to FCF cash flow positive in 2027, on top of hitting the Azure number. On Meta, it's mostly self-inflicted, right? They beat on revenue, they missed on EPS. It was primarily driven by running hot on expenses and also having a very weak guide. And with them, it's really how do I get into the cloud business? So completely understanding. And Qualcomm, right, as you would expect, had very low numbers on the smartphone side, given what's going on there with memory. But the positive part is, and I do feel like this one, it was an inflection quarter from them that takes them out of this Chinese trough, which hit a low, and all you could do is move up. So it's very positive signs until they get to their data center.
Okay. Jay, we kicked off the hour with you saying that Microsoft might have been just what the market needed here. Steve, want to get your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so when you look at Microsoft, the chart is terrible for the year, but when you think about everything that Patrick just laid out there, Azure growth is off the chart, so cloud is what is eclipsing the worry about the seat economics. Seat economics are definitely getting better. And if you look at how they're growing those seats, last quarter it was 20 million, now it's 30 million. So I think people are starting to realize Microsoft can turn and flip that switch on free cash flow whenever they want, sort of the way AWS can or Amazon can. But a Meta, which is 98% ad rev, is having difficulty because if you think about it, their Reality Labs burns 4 or 5 billion per quarter when they're an ad company. They don't need to wrestle around with data centers as much as they are. They need to cut back on CapEx. That'll turn the name.
We added 31 new data centers across 5 continents this quarter, bringing the total to 88 this year as we expand our footprint in response to accelerating demand. We're also bringing capacity online faster than ever. Over the last fiscal year, we've reduced dock-to-live times for new GPUs in our largest regions by nearly 50%. All up, we added another gigawatt of capacity this quarter and remain on track to roughly double our overall capacity in just 2 years.
Before I move to Outlook, effective at the start of FY27, we are extending the estimated useful life of our data centers and office buildings from 15 to 25 years, reflecting our operating history and expected use of these assets. The impact of this update is reflected in today's guidance. This change affects only the timing of future depreciation and is expected to have a minimal benefit to FY27 operating income. The greater impact is on capital expenditures, as more of our future data center leases will shift from finance leases to operating leases as a result of this update. Finance leases are included in capital expenditures, while operating leases are not. Outside of this useful life impact, our calendar year 2026 CapEx investment expectations remain unchanged. However, the shift from finance to operating leases adjusts our expectation to approximately $175 billion.
I think it's kind of interesting when we've been looking at the market, we've noticed that the S&P has kind of done really nicely through this first half of the year, but the Magnificent Seven has kind of sat it out a little bit, and that's been interesting for us to see. And we've kind of noticed that while we don't see those big names performing as they have in the past, we've seen a kind of more balanced situation when we see 300 of the 500 companies kind of pulling their weight, which is very different than what we saw over the last 2 years in 2024 and 2025.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is different because the Mag 7's not doing the heavy lifting here, despite the fact that they're still weighted about a third of the index. And, you're one of the first guests I've had in a while that actually said the Magnificent Seven. We've been hearing the other term quite a bit more often of late. As we were coming into 2026, obviously a lot of unexpected things have happened. But were you expecting for the leadership to broaden out in the way that we've seen it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, when we look at this kind of second half of the year and we look at what's happening underlying, while we see that, 5 of the 7 have been kind of lackluster, we still see expected earnings be in the double digit and with Nvidia even triple digit. So I think that the second half might turn out to be a really great story. What we're really looking for is what we've been cautioning kind of in the first half of the year. We've got to see this AI CapEx really start to become monetized. And that's what I think everybody's looking for in this earnings seasons right now.
It certainly is. But Jay, I'll ask the question then, are you seeing it in some of the names? Let's use Alphabet as our example here because it's the most recent one that's top of mind for me. Are we already seeing ways in which the monetization is showing up and the street is just saying it's not enough monetization yet, despite the fact that everyone agrees we're still in early innings?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's really what we're kind of watching out for. We saw this a little while back too, right? Where guidance versus earnings has also been kind of an issue. When we saw this with Nvidia, they had this buyback, but the guidance was a little bit weak. I think investors right now are really being demanding, and we've seen this kind of de-risking as well, right? So there's been this de-risking as a result of kind of nervousness with the AI capex versus monetization, and I think that might actually be quite healthy because as these same investors are watching what happens with the earnings and start to get some belief there, that might allow for some recalibration and re-engagement. That could be a tailwind to what we see with the earnings expectations.
And as we look specifically at the Mag 7, and you highlighted their performance over the years before this year, do you view them sort of, I haven't asked this question of anyone, but I am so curious what your answer is going to be. Is this perhaps them being a victim of their own success? I mean, we saw such impressive growth and the spend was met with such positivity and they grew so much in valuation and in sentiment. And now we've just seen a reversal on that.
Yeah, well, I think that there's just reservation. I don't know that this means that it's the end for them, but I also like to think of right now as a reflecting moment because we kind of refer to these 7 as this basket. And what this is really telling us is we've got to look at them individually at this point and see where they are in the play. We see that Apple's actually performed well and Tesla's kind of down. Well, not kind of down, Tesla's down. But they're very different stories. Tesla's got decreased earnings for a good reason. Apple's doing really well because they don't have the same CapEx spend, but still benefit from the AI play over 2.5 billion devices without having to do the same kind of investment. So the guys in the middle are really going to have to show up. So I think it's really decoupling the seven and looking at them as individual stories at this point.
Okay, so let's look at them as individual stories that are all going to sort of run into each other here in the next 48 hours as we cover Microsoft and Meta today, and then Amazon and Apple tomorrow. And Apple perhaps maybe should have a carve out of the broader CapEx conversation because they are the least biggest spender in terms of the CapEx here. And so they're sort of in a differentiated basket if we're grouping them. But what does the street need to hear from these four names as we get them over, through tomorrow's close to see a different reaction than what we got from Alphabet? Is it increased monetization? Is it a different tone? I mean, what is the deciding factor here, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I think that from our perspective, there's two things that we really want to see. We want to see a commitment to that CapEx, right? When we're listening to guidance, that board, when they're telling us that they want to keep continuing to invest rather than to protect and give back to the investors, that with some actual monetization, those two things together are going to give us that confidence that there's really some more legs behind this. And I think we just got to stay cautiously optimistic. You did bring up a good point about Alphabet, but I think that, broader range across these seven companies, we're really going to have to see both of those commitments. But again, beyond these seven, as we look to what's happening, AI itself, it's not just these seven companies, not just the platform and the cloud providers, but kind of the picks and shovels behind them. And, that kind of gives us some more to watch out for beyond just these seven.
Microsoft shares are sharply higher this morning. You're going to see up by about 9% right now. This came after the software giant reported better than expected fourth quarter results. Microsoft also said that annual Azure revenue surpassed the $100 billion mark. Joining us right now is Mark Merdler. He is senior analyst at Bernstein. And Mark, this is a time to look at a lot of great headlines that came out of this company's earnings report. But maybe the most overwhelming thing is to focus on the concerns that have built up to this point, whether the company was spending too much on CapEx, whether it can actually deliver and make some profit from the CapEx it has been spending to this point. The market seems to think yes today. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yesterday, they answered the four main questions people wanted to hear. Azure accelerated to 43%, 200 basis points faster than the street expected. They guided to Azure accelerating to 45%, which is about 400 basis points more than the street expected. At the same time, CapEx spending, they didn't increase the CapEx spending. In fact, they lowered it, but there's technicalities of why they lowered it. But the street was expecting CapEx would go up even if Azure didn't accelerate. But now Azure is accelerating this quarter. Azure accelerates next quarter. And, CapEx is going to be flattish. In addition, Copilot massively accelerated. It grew in terms of paid commercial seats 50% year over year. So in terms of the Microsoft proving they are monetizing AI, absolutely. The fact that they're managing their CapEx, absolutely. And the really hidden, to some extent, was the comment by Amy Hood that free cash flow next year is going to be positive. That is in some way, shape, or form commentary against their peers, in which Microsoft is saying their business operations is going to cover all the CapEx needs they're going to need for all the expanding revenue.
Yeah, they had free cash flow of, what was it, $20 billion that they reported in this past quarter, too.
Right.
So concerns over at this point? Stock's up 9%. It's still down over the last year. But what would you be telling people to do at this point?
I would be telling people it's time to buy the stock. It's going to continue to break up. We're going to see Microsoft continue to deliver surprises next quarter. commentary as they are out speaking to the street will be strong and very positive. And I think the investor sentiment is going to move. Microsoft is not an AI loser, and Microsoft is not exposed to the extent of some others about concern about overbuilding and the rest of it. Amy Hood, in response to the question I asked on the call, explained they can very quickly turn down their spending and their capacity if they so need to. So they're very well positioned to be able to tune to the demand that's coming in.
You have an outperform rating on this stock and a price target of $646. Is that a 12-month price target? Because that's substantially higher from where we are right now at 425.
It's 12 months based on what people will think 12 months beyond. So it's effectively at 24 months. Why is it at that number? I think the valuation doesn't make sense given the rate of growth of this company, the ability for, and the commentary on acceleration that's coming, and the margins that the company delivers. This is a solid.
You said, oh, sorry, Mark. You said that this is a company that is performing relative to what we've heard from some of its peers that are overbuilding. Who are you referring to? Are you talking about Meta, which reported a little bit of a different story last night?
Well, I don't cover Meta, but we're seeing these massive investments. Meta is an example in which there's a lot of investment going on. At the other hyperscalers, we're seeing a lot of investment. All of the neo clouds out there are talking about doubling their revenue, and yet their ability to generate cash is relatively tight. And so these guys Microsoft does not have the downside risks, and they have a lot of the upside opportunity.
You do cover Oracle. It's been spending an awful lot itself. You've got an outperform rating on Oracle. You're not concerned about its spend?
No, because their spend is directly tied to non-cancelable contractual commitments with some very large companies, Meta, OpenAI, ByteDance, Nvidia, AMD. So their spending is grounded upon contracts they have. But the reality is similar to Microsoft. If something were to happen, they can massively turn down their spending. They don't have to buy the hardware, and demand out there is for data centers is very high. So they can sublease all the data centers they have. We wrote a note a couple quarters ago in which we laid all of that out.